you're somewhat quietly a lead author on a very important document. You're the lead chapter author, the Southeast chapter of the upcoming 5th National Climate Assessment. And obviously, 5th one of these, the 4th one, I think, came out in 17 and 18, so it's due for an update. Tell us what the National Climate Assessment is. Where does this come from? Who's writing it? And then specifically, what does this tell us about Virginia? That's not hard at all, Jeremy. So talk through some of that.
Yeah. So the National Climate Assessment is a congressionally mandated science assessment. So basically, every 5 to 7 years or so, there is a effort to kind of synthesize the latest research on how climate change threatens the livelihoods of Americans and residents of the United States of America. So what we've been doing for the last 2 years is drafting these chapters as part of this assessment. So you might be familiar with the IPCC or the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. That is an international research effort. As how does climate change threaten the whole Earth and the regions of the planet? What the National Climate Assessment does is try to localize that more to the United States writ large, as well as separating into various topics and regions. So you mentioned I'm the chapter lead for the Southeast. The Southeast comprises 11 states in the kind of southeastern portion of the United States, from Louisiana up to Virginia, down to Florida and up to Kentucky. It's a pretty large place, all things considered. There are some other important regions as well. There are also topic chapters too. So we have the regions. So what is climate change going to threaten and climate risks related to particular regions, as well as these different sectors of the American economy, for example, or transportation, or the built environment, or agriculture. So over the last couple of years, over 450 different authors have been working to synthesize all of the recent findings since the last National Climate Assessment, which, as you mentioned, was published in 2018. And we've just recently gone through a period of review, public comment, as well as national academies. The National Academy of Science, Engineering, and Medicine provided comments on our chapter drafts. We're now submitted our 4th order draft, and the report itself is going to be published this fall, either October, November time period. And I think it's going to be really an important document at this time, given how rapidly the science around things like understanding attribution of climate change to certain climate extremes has become more and more accepted and powerful in our ability to confidently link things to climate change. So I'm really excited to share what the Southeast chapter has in it. Well, I can't, mention specifics right now because we're still in review and it won't be published until the fall. Many of the indices of climate change for the Southeast presented in the 2018 climate assessment, and in virtually every single one before that, really has only intensified. The idea around extreme precipitation and rainfall events becoming more intense and more frequent. That hasn't stopped since 2018. The length, strength, timing of heat extremes has not stopped to increase and worsen. And then sea level change. You cannot talk about the Southeast without reflecting on the many, many coastal communities that are currently experiencing challenges related to coastal flooding. But then superimpose on that, our mandate is to assess out to 2050, 2100, and even beyond. And when you start to look at the government's own projections of sea level change, there's some pretty significant and growing challenge related to that won't go away in the immediate future. So the National Climate Assessment is super important to understanding not only the impacts on those particular sectors that you might work in, or you have relatives that work in a particular sector, but also these regional chapters are super important to contextualizing why it is we should care about and respond to this changing climate risk.
One of the things that